Okay, so you know how everyone's always going on about finding lasting love? It feels like it's gotten even trickier lately, like trying to solve a puzzle, but some of the pieces are missing.
Oh, totally. Everyone's looking for that fairy tale ending,
Right.
but the old rules just don't seem to work the way they used to.
Exactly. And it's like you all get that because you sent in tons of messages about this article on conscious relationships.
Ooh, interesting.
And it's so not about like finding the one and everything's perfect. It's
Wow.
about finding a love that helps you actually grow and evolve.
Now, that is a concept. See,
Right.
we're not just looking for someone to make us happy. We're looking for someone who helps us grow both individually and together.
Exactly. I mean, I've definitely had relationships where I felt like I was just spinning my wheels.
Now, tell me about it.
So when I read this, I was like, okay, I need to learn more about this conscious relationship thing. What does that even look like in real life?
So the article breaks it down into four main pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is huge. Growth trumps happily ever after.
Okay. Break that down for me.
So many relationships fail because they're built on this idea of like seeking happiness to fulfill our own needs.
Yeah, like you complete me kind of thing.
Exactly. But with conscious relationships, it's different. It's not, are we happy? It's, are we growing?
Mm.
Subtle but huge difference.
Oh, I see. So it's less about chasing those highs and lows
Yes.
and more about being with someone who supports you becoming the best version of yourself.
Right. Challenges become opportunities to learn and grow closer.
Instead of freaking out when things get tough, you're like, okay, what's the lesson here?
Exactly. Which brings us to pillar number two, own your baggage. This one can be a little,
Oh, I'm sure we all have baggage.
absolutely. We
Yeah.
all do.
Mm.
But in conscious relationships, you don't pretend it's not there. Those triggers and past hurts are like relationship workouts.
I like that analogy. So instead of blaming each other, you're both like, what can we learn from this?
Yes. It's about taking responsibility for your own stuff and using it to grow.
Yeah.
Like even looking back at your childhood and how that shaped your attachment style.
Oh, wow, that's getting deep. So we're talking about bringing a whole new level of self-awareness into our relationships.
Exactly. It's not just about your partner's behavior, but understanding those deeper patterns.
Yeah.
And that brings us to, you guessed it, pillar number three,
All right, hit me.
radical honesty.
Ooh. Does that mean spilling all your secrets on the first date?
Not necessarily. It's about being your most authentic self, the good, the bad, all of it.
Being vulnerable even when it's scary.
Exactly. You create a safe space for each other,
I can see how that could be really powerful, but how do you keep that going long term?
which is where our final pillar comes in.
All right, lay it on me.
Love is a verb, not a destination.
So it's not about chasing those initial butterflies, but about finding someone who helps you spread your wings and fly.
Precisely. It's about showing up every single day and choosing love, even when it's messy, challenging, or the last thing you feel like doing.
Wow, that's deep. So it's about the actions we take, even when it's hard, not just the feeling itself.
You got it. It's about the daily work, the commitment to growth. It's not always easy, but the payoff, believe me, can be incredible.
I love this idea of love as a verb. It's like we get so caught up in finding the one, but maybe the real magic is in choosing to show up every day.
Yes. It's about moving away from this passive approach to love to an active one. We're not just waiting for the right person to complete us. We're actively trying to be better partners.
And that's a journey, right? I mean, it's not always going to be sunshine and roses.
Oh, absolutely not. You're going to hit bumps in the road.
Yeah.
You're going to have disagreements and moments where you question everything.
So how do you handle those moments differently in a conscious relationship?
You see those challenges as chances to learn and grow closer instead of, relationship ending fights.
So instead of the blame game, you're both saying, okay, what can we learn from this?
Exactly. But that takes a lot of self-awareness and emotional intelligence, which is why this article stresses personal growth just as much as relationship growth.
Right, because you can't really be there for someone else if you're not taking care of yourself.
Exactly. It's like you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to cultivate self-love and acceptance to be a good partner. And a lot of that comes from understanding our pasts.
You mentioned attachment styles earlier. How does that fit into all of this?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Because those patterns we develop in childhood really impact our adult relationships.
So, like, someone who had a secure attachment might be better at relationships, while someone who didn't might struggle with things like being afraid of commitment.
Exactly. Knowing your own attachment style and your partner's can be so eye-opening. You can start to see where conflicts come from and how to communicate better. It's not about blaming your past, it's about learning from it.
This is so interesting because it's like we usually talk about finding someone who checks all the boxes on our list,
Right.
but this is more about finding someone who's also on their own journey, who wants to grow alongside you.
And that willingness to grow together, even when it's hard, that's what makes a conscious relationship different. Those challenges are going to come up. It's about how you face them together.
It's about choosing love even when it's tough.
Yes. Showing up with your whole heart, ready to do the work. Because ultimately, you're not just creating a relationship, you're creating a better version of yourself.
You know, it's funny how we talk about finding love like it's this thing that just happens to us. It's true.
But this whole conscious relationship idea, it's like we actually have a say in how it all plays out. Exactly. We're not just along for the ride, we're creating the journey together, which is exciting, but can also be a little scary, to be honest.
Right, because it means looking at ourselves honestly, like, am I really bringing my best to this?
Yes. And being willing to do the work,
Yeah.
even when it's hard. It's about approaching love as a practice, something you keep working at, not just a feeling you chase.
Instead of searching for that one perfect person who will complete us,
Mm-hmm.
we should be looking for someone who challenges us to grow, who's on that same journey of self-discovery with us.
Exactly. It's about understanding that the greatest gift you can give your partner and yourself is your own growth. And that takes courage, vulnerability. It's not always pretty, but the connection you build, it's so real, so powerful.
Wow, this has been eye-opening. I feel like I'm seeing relationships in a whole new light. Maybe it's not about those butterflies after all.
Right. Maybe it's about finding someone who helps you spread your wings and fly.
I love that.
So here's something to think about. If love is a practice, what's one small step you can take today towards a more conscious way of relating? To your partner, a friend, even yourself.
Ooh, that's a good one. We want to hear your answers. Head over to our social media and let's keep this conversation going using the hashtag ConsciousLoveDeepDive. And remember, keep diving deep and keep those relationships growing.